Welcome and thank you for standing by. Currently, all participants are in a listen-only mode. Today's webinar is being recorded, and the recording will be posted publicly. If you have any objections, you may disconnect at this time. Now I'd like to turn the call over to your host for today, Wendy Peebles.
Thank you, Lisa. Good afternoon. I am Wendy Peebles, Lead Outreach Coordinator for the Census Bureau Economic Management Division. Welcome to today's webinar as part of our webinar series for World Trade Month. Today's webinar is the last one in the series. Today, we will present several data tools that will assist you with global growth, decision-making, and increase your knowledge on the trade data tools. This is an opportunity to learn about the trade data tools as we recognize World Trade Month. As we present the tools and the features, you should receive several takeaways for utilizing these tools in your daily practices for enhancing your business operations. There's a lot to learn on census.gov/trade that you might not even know that is even there. During this webinar, we will be shining a light on all the lesser utilized trade tools and resources on census.gov/trade. Following the end of the webinar, please complete the evaluation as this assists in planning future content. Please use the Q&A feature located in the lower right-hand corner of your screen with the three little dots for submitting your questions. Jeremy Sanchez of the Economic Indicators Division will be monitoring the Q&A. We also ask that you open up the Q&A feature. We ask that you open up the chat feature because we will be sending you important information, tips, and links that will assist you in today's webinar and going forward. Following the presentation, we will take any remaining questions. The presenter for today is Alyssa Suarez, and at this time, I will pass it on to Alyssa to begin. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy, and thank you all for coming. Again, my name is Alyssa Suarez. I work in the International Trade Macroanalysis Economic Indicators Division at the U.S. Census Bureau. We're the office that is responsible for disseminating the monthly international trade statistics, specifically the Advanced Economic Indicator Report and the FT 900 International Trade in Goods and Services. But today we will be discussing our international trade website with an emphasis on two data tools, USA Trade Online and the International Trade API, both of which are free to use and easily accessible from our website. Today, I'll show you how to navigate the website, as well as where to find data that might not be so easy to locate. So we're going to start off here with, again, this is census.gov/trade or census.gov. Either of those links will take you here. This is the first page you'll see when you navigate. At the top, we have these three that will link you to our latest U.S. international trade. Directly next to that is
Excuse me, Alyssa, you are kind of breaking up just a little bit. I don't know, it may just be my monitor. You may just want to come a little closer to the mic. Thank you.
Is this any better?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we have these latest two press releases, and then right here we have a link to our Schedule B search engine and just some other information on Schedule B commodity codes. If you scroll down a bit, you'll see our announcements. This is where we have some information on our release dates and for our most recent press releases and any change release dates, such as the altered release dates here we have for our Advanced Economic Indicator release. And then right over here, we have some data on basic economic indicators or selected economic indicators. If you click over here, you can download the press release files for any of the indicators you're interested in. And you can also sign up for email updates so that you can be sure you're not missing anything. Next, we'll move on to the About page. So here there is some information on the history of the Foreign Trade Statistical Program, as well as a link to our guide to international trade statistics. And we'll come back to that later on in this presentation. But for the most part, this section just includes information on where our data comes from and what the data is used for. Next, we'll move on to our data page. Naturally, this is where you'll find links to a lot of the data we have available. At the very top, we again have another link to our latest U.S. International Trade Goods and Services Report and our latest Advanced Economic Indicators Report. For both of these reports, there is a PDF document available with the full report, as well as Excel files with any of the exhibits or tables used in the report. Directly below that, we have trade highlights, which are available on a monthly and annual basis, as well as top trading partners, which is available on a monthly or year-to-date basis. In all of our press highlight files, you will see, I'll open this up so you can take a look. You will see highlights for the current month and prior month, or current year and prior year, depending on whether you're looking at monthly or annual press highlights. You'll see data on a goods and services, as well as goods data balance of payments basis. And going back, our top trading partner page, as I mentioned, is also available on a monthly basis and year-to-date basis. It will have the top 15 ranking countries for total trade, exports, imports, surpluses, and deficits, as well as total exports and imports for all countries, and also top 15 countries. Each country ranked will have a percentage of total exports, imports, or total trade. And all of the data available on the trading is goods data on a census basis. So moving on back to the main data page below top trading partner press releases. This is where you can find our other press releases that are not linked on the landing page or right above there. So that includes the FT900A, U.S. imports for consumption of steel products, which we release a preliminary version of generally around the end of every month at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And the final version comes out with our FT900 press release at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. You can also find on this page our FT895 U.S. trade with Puerto Rico and U.S. possessions data release. This was mentioned in last week's webinar. It's released annually starting in 1995, and it's the main source of Census Bureau data on trade with U.S. possessions and Puerto Rico. This report is a little less than 500 pages and has data from both the United States to Puerto Rico and U.S. possessions, as well as the other direction from U.S. possessions and Puerto Rico to the United States. You can find data by Schedule B commodity code with a total trade number for trade through all methods of transportation, or you can select total vessel or air trade. Another press release we have is our profile of U.S. importing and exporting companies, which has information on the size of these companies, where these companies are exporting to and importing from, whether these companies both export and import or just do one, and other information like that. A lot of other press releases are available on this page that I won't go into detail on today, but this includes our U.S. exports by metropolitan area data, which is released on a quarterly basis, and related party trade, which is released on an annual basis. Okay, unfortunately, I'm having an issue where I cannot see the cursor on my screen, so it's a bit hard to get back, but we'll just work with that. Moving back to our main data page. Here you can see all of our prior FT900 releases. Unfortunately, I can't point to it for you, but that's at the top there. And then right below that, you can see our statistical corrections page. That's where we post any corrections related to issues raised by our data users. Here, underneath historical data and data resources, there's also a link to USA Trade Online and our International Trade API, which we will come back to later in the presentation. We also have a lot of historical data organized by seasonally adjusted versus not seasonally adjusted. Under seasonally adjusted data, you can find goods and services, balances, exports and imports on monthly and annual basis, as well as on a census basis or a balance of payments basis. And that goes back to 1960 annually. Here you can also find our country seasonal data, where we publish export, import, and trade balance for selected country with monthly and quarterly totals going back to 2009. And then again on this main data page under the not seasonally adjusted data, we have data available by classification system, including end-use categories, harmonized system, and NAICS codes, as well as some data organized by geography. I won't click on it now, but if you are able to click on trading partner, country, total balance, exports and imports, you will find trade and goods with all countries for which we have data available. And here you can find some information on our state trade data series and our metropolitan area data series. The data page is also where you can find our related party time series data. Currently, this data is reported in CSV files and generally released in September of every year. Here you can also find some information on our data product subscriptions and the link to access any data products you already have access to, as well as a catalog of all of the data products we have available to order. Moving on to the next section of the website, we have a section called Schedule B. It just has some information about Schedule B export commodity codes, including concordance files, although there is another place on the website that I'll point out in a bit where you can find a more extensive list of concordance files. Here, there's also a summary of obsolete codes that are no longer in use. And at the top, you'll find our Schedule B search engine, so you can easily locate the right commodity codes for your use. Moving on to reference, at the top under statistical notices, you'll find any upcoming updates and changes to our press releases, as well as updates and changes that have already been implemented. Next, we have the description of the Foreign Trade Statistical Program. There's a lot of information here, including some definitions. For example, if we go over here, we have definitions of domestic exports and re-exports. This section further breaks down a lot of terms that you might have heard, such as general imports versus imports for consumption, which is a common question we get about the measures on USA Trade Online. We also have some detailed information on how we define a statistical month and information on seasonal adjustment and valuation of merchandise. This is also where you can find information on a balance of payments basis versus a census basis and sort of what the difference is between those two. On this page, we also have information on classification of ports, districts, countries, and commodities. So if you keep scrolling down, we have a bunch more information here. We have some more information on our state metropolitan area data series, as well as information on low value statistics, and sort of why we estimate low value shipments and our methodology for estimating low value shipments. Here you can find some more information on our methods of transportation and what is and isn't included in each one, such as the fact that mail and parcel post shipments are included in all methods data, but excluded from vessel and air statistics. That's another sort of common question we get. You can also find sources of error here and any other quality issues. Going back to the main reference page again, this is where you can find our concordance files. This is basically if you're using one commodity classification system and want to translate it to another classification system. We have all of these files available here to compare one code in HS, for example, to its equivalent code in NAICS. It's important to note that there are also file structures here. Or structure files so you can see which classification systems are included in the concordance file you're using. Further down in the code section, there are a bunch of links to descriptions of codes within each classification system, as well as links to Schedule C and Schedule D descriptions, which are country codes and district import codes, respectively, as well as any other codes we might use. Moving on to our guide to international trade. If you click on the description of the International Trade Statistical Program, it will take you back to the page we discussed a bit earlier on that you can find in the references section. Clicking on U.S. merchandise trade, special reports, services, and data products, again, will take you back to that data product information page mentioned before. And similarly, the conversion tables and units of quantity will take you back to the description of the Foreign Trade Statistical Program that has more information on units of quantity. Below that, we have country groupings available in case you're trying to find information on which specific countries are included in an area grouping. And our reference aids will link you to information on trade data collection and our revision procedure. The next part of our website is the events page. Here you'll find any of our upcoming outreach activities, the date they will take place, the location, and a brief description of what the event is. The next section is our release schedule. Here you can find the date of each press release and the statistical month that the press release will cover. Because as you may know, our press release date is not the same day the statistical month ends, and is generally for the FT900 press release about 35 to 40 days after that. The release schedule includes dates for the monthly FT900 U.S. International Trade in Goods and Services report, as well as the Advanced Economic Indicators press release, the preliminary U.S. imports for consumption of steel products press release. The final version comes out with the FT900 at 8:30. And our other press releases, the profile of U.S. importing and exporting companies, which comes out annually, and the annual related party release. So next up is our definitions page. This is a pretty important page if you have any questions about the exact meaning of some of the terms we use. It is organized in alphabetical order, which makes it easier to use, and you can, of course, search the page with if there's a specific term you're looking to define. Oftentimes, people will have questions when using USA Trade Online about measures available in the USA Trade Online system and what exactly is encompassed in these measures. This page is a great resource for finding information on how exactly we define these terms and can provide some clarity on what is and is not included in the numbers you're seeing in your reports. Here you'll also find a lot of important information on the terms we use in our press releases. Generally, if you have any questions about what a term means or what is or isn't included in a grouping, I would recommend looking at this definitions page and also the description of International Trade Statistical Program that we looked at earlier. Moving on, below definitions, we have our time series and trend charts data. Here you can find data over a specific data range. The current data we have available is from 1992 to March of 2024. You can view data either on a balance of payments, goods, and services basis or a balance of payments, goods basis. And you can look at balance, exports, or imports. So one of the last things on our website is the Global Market Finder, which is a free tool for US exporters. We'll give it a second to load, but included in the Global Market Finder is a link to the Schedule B search engine so that you can find whatever Schedule B code you need. Then you can choose a commodity code here, and you can choose a country as well to find data on. So here there are 4 different views for you to choose from. The first one is a map that displays the top 5 countries of destination for your current selected commodity with larger red circles, as well as any other countries that this particular commodity is exported to with smaller blue dots. The next visualization we have available is time series. Here you have annual data for the past 6 years and the value in US dollars. You can select a specific country if you want to see total exports to that country for your chosen commodity, or you can leave it as all countries to see total exports to any country for that specific commodity. The next data visualization is methods of transportation. Here there's again 6 years of data with 4 different modes of transportation: air, vessel containerized, vessel not containerized, and other. If you are interested in more information about the differences between these methods of transportation, a good place to look would again be the definitions page I mentioned earlier. The final data visualization is unit price. On the x-axis, there will be units. On the y-axis, there will be US dollars. Hopefully that will load so you can see what it looks like. But there's also a line of best fit going through the graph so you can see a trend in the cost of the commodity in US dollars per unit. I'm not sure if it will load. Maybe I can open that up for you on the slideshow if it doesn't, but it's important to note that with all of these visualizations, if you select a country that is not a valid country of destination, or anything where there is not any data, your map will return blank, your time series will return blank. And there should be a message just telling you that there is no available data for that specific selection. So I can pull up a picture. This is just the graph that wasn't loading, or the visualization that wasn't loading earlier. But so that's about all we have for our website. But we are moving on now to our international trade API. We won't be doing a demo today, but if you are looking for a demo, we have that available, and we'll have some links at the end. So we also have our API user guide. As I mentioned, it's very extensive. It has common errors when creating an API call and examples of.
So with the API, today we'll be talking about what an API is, the data we have available in the Trade API, and what a call looks like. So API stands for Application Program Interface. Basically, the API allows a computer program to access features or data from another application. Something similar to this is websites that allow you to sign up with your social media credentials. The International Trade API allows a user to call trade data directly into applications, and this data is readable by humans, and you can access it without any programming experience. The data we have available in the API is not seasonally adjusted, and it's on a census basis. We have monthly import and export data available from 2010 to the present, March 2024. We have data by HS, NAICS, NUSE, SITC, ATP, and USDA classification systems. And we have port and state level data. Port is only available for HS, where state is available for HS and NAICS. And almost all published variables are available in every data set. So some benefits of using the API are that some data is easily available only in the API, such as monthly end use by country and SITC method of transportation data. The API is also free to use, and you are not required to sign up unless you will be making a lot of calls. I believe the number might be 500, so you can make quite a few calls before you have to sign up. So as you can see, a call sort of looks like a website URL in the way that it's formatted. It always starts with this underlined part, and then you include your data set here. This, for example, is exports and state level HS classification system. You always include this get statement, and then you include the parameters of whatever the data you're looking for. So again, this is monthly export value for every state in 2020, whereas this has changed the data set, and it's monthly import value for every state in 2020. So moving on to USA Trade Online. USA Trade Online is also known as UTO. It's an online database that is free and open to the public. It provides current and historical export and import data organized by commodity, and it's updated with our monthly FT900 press release. The data that's available on USA Trade Online is import and export data that can be filtered based on the following criteria: commodity, HS and NAICS codes, measure, dollar value, quantity, unit value, air or vessel dollar value, and shipping weight, country, geographic region, trade agreement, or international organization. And there's also state level, district level, and port level data that you can filter based off time, so you can choose either yearly totals or monthly totals within every year. So this is what the USA Trade Online page looks like. Once you sign up and you just create a free account with the Sign Up Now button, you can log in, and it will take you to this page. This is our data source selection page. If you'll see at the top left, you are currently in the Public Reports tab, and this is where you would formulate a new report. But if you save a report, that report will be saved to the My Reports tab directly to the right of Public Reports. Here you can choose from district, state, or port level data, and you can use the Harmonized System or NAICS codes. Import and export data are different data sets, so you do have to choose one. You cannot generate a report with both import and export data at the same time. Moving on, when you click on whichever data set you're interested in, it will open to a page that looks like this. It will start you with the commodity tab. This is where you can select the commodity you're looking for. You can either use this search bar here to type in the commodity you're looking for, or you can press this plus button here to drill down and find, for example, if you're looking for 0100, you would press this plus button here. Multiple countries will show up if you use, for country, if you use the search bar, multiple countries will show up, but it will not matter which one you choose. It should all be the same. For time, it's important to note that it's not just yearly totals that are available. If you use this plus again, you'll be able to drill down to months within every year as well. And another important thing to note is that when you are ready to generate your report and you've chosen all of the measures that you're interested in, you click on this report button here. Some people often miss this because it doesn't look quite obviously like a button, but that is where you click to generate the report. So this is an example of a report. If once you've generated your report, there's the ability to rearrange your report if you click here. This is how you would change what variables are in rows versus columns. And here you can also suppress values if you're interested. If you have a larger report with a lot of zero values, this might be helpful for you. Here you can save your report. This is the button you'll press if you are trying to save a report to look at later in USA Trade Online, and that would go to your My Reports tab that I showed you earlier on the data source selection page. Here is the screen download button is an option to download your report to your computer as a CSV file, and you can also have the report emailed to you instead of downloaded directly to your computer. All the way on the right is an option to email report definition. If you use that, you can send someone else a file that they can open within USA Trade Online. Here are some resources we have available. If you have any other questions, you can always reach out to our International Trade Macroanalysis Branch email or our phone number, which is 301-763-2311. We also have our International Trade API homepage and our user guide, as well as a link to USA Trade Online and our website, census.gov/trade or /foreign-trade. We also have a few video resources here, including a USA Trade Online data gem, API tutorials, and a video on demystifying the Census API. Again, my name is Alyssa Suarez. This is my contact information if you have any questions after the presentation. And here, we're going to move on to the Q&A, but I have a few common questions just to sort of get us started. One question we get a lot is, can I find information on specific exporters and importers on the USA Trade Online database or the API? The answer to this one is no, because we can never provide any business identifiable or personally identifiable information. That information is protected by federal law, so we will never release any trade data specific to one company or individual. Another question we often get is, how do I know what commodity code to use? So the easiest way to get a good commodity code for the merchandise you're looking for is to use our Schedule B search engine or our website, hts.usitc.gov. So it's not our website, it's just a website that is helpful. I don't believe I have it linked here. Jeremy, if you wouldn't mind sending that in the chat. And then if you have any more questions, you can send those in the chat as well.
So Jeremy, did we receive any questions for Alyssa today? There are currently no questions in the chat. Okay, well, we certainly want to thank Alyssa for that in-depth presentation, providing us a thorough review of our foreign trade website, from press releases, Schedule B, resources, and trade data tools. So we certainly invite you to go back when you have some free time to go through the website, and you may want to put back up that resource page, Alyssa, that they can see for additional information. And we invite you to take a look at our outreach page as well as the Census Academy page for additional upcoming outreach events that the Census team will be offering over the next several months. So once again, we'll do one more round of questions. If there are any questions, now's your chance.
We did get one question about showing the construct an API call slide again. If you could go back to that.
And again, this information is available in much more detail on the API user guide. So if you do have any questions about that, that would be a great source.
Okay, great. And just a gentle reminder, these slides will be placed on the Census Academy site within about 10 days following today's webinar. And once again, we thank you for joining our series of webinars in recognition of World Trade Month. If there are no additional questions, we thank you for joining and enjoy the rest of your day. This completes the webinar.
This concludes today's webinar. Thank you for your participation. You may disconnect at this time.